You were there. I was not there.
To the voices of the people.
We are suffering. This suffering is too much. It's too much. Look at the students. There's no job. They're feeling school. There's no job for them.
We analyze the undercurrents, expose the intrigues, and break down the narratives that define our democracy. Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki delivering razor-sharp analysis, and Ebuka Franklin and Chisom on the question wheel, driving the conversation. We bring you the most compelling discussions on governance, policies, and power plays. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay ahead. The Polity, every weekdays at 9:15 a.m. Exclusive on Udala 104.7 FM Onitsha.
So it's 17 minutes past 9 a.m. and another day for us to talk about politics on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. So we are saying welcome to the Polity on Udala Radio, the seriously authentic radio station, transmitting from the commercial nav center of Anambra State Onitsha. It's now 9:17 a.m. this Thursday morning, the 20th of November 2025. And of course, my name is Franklin Ebeka. I'm saying welcome once more to this very program, where we get to bring you headlines from different newspapers and then take our conversations from the trendiest and the most topical development as reported by these various newspapers. And from what we have seen so far, in Anambra State, of course, there's a new regulation that is now in place. And yesterday, it led to a clash between Ocha Brigade and some commercial bus operators around the Unizik Junction. I'm talking about that prohibition of the crossing of the expressway without using pedestrian bridge. It led to skirmishes yesterday, but of course, Ocha Brigade people are there ensuring that they get to enforce the use of pedestrian bridge if you were going to cross the express road around that Unizik Thameside axis. Then outside Anambra State, the issue about the U.S. claim of Christian genocide in Nigeria has been raging. Because over there at over there in USA, of course, we saw how Nicki Minaj went to UN to testify. We also saw how US lawmakers have been taking this very matter up, and we understand that yesterday a delegation of Nigerian people were in USA, where they also, or rather testified or provided some document to prove their point that there is nothing like a Christian genocide in Nigeria. We learned that they were led by Nuhu Ribadi and co. And this very morning in the papers, you will see story emanating from the SGF, who is saying that that claim by the US president that there is a Christian genocide in Nigeria has been emboldening the terrorists. And that's why we have seen cases of attacks here and there where terrorists invaded a school in Kebbi State, kidnapped 25 schoolgirls, and in Kwara State, a church was invaded while a military brigadier was killed somewhere in Borno State. So all these and more are going to feature on today's conversation. And of course, we ask you to always stay with us on this very dial because we have all the ACs. And if you want to join us live or virtually, you can go to our Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Join us on that very page. Don't forget to share the story and also drop your comment on that very page. On YouTube, we are Udala Radio. And on Instagram, we also Udala Radio. Get to join us on these platforms and let's cascade the opinions. Once more, my name is Franklin Ebeka. Good morning once more. Okay, I'm not alone. I'm with Tony Sambeki. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Franklin Ebuka. It's good to have you back after quite a number of days. And you look so fresh, but that will be a matter of another day. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning. Ndi Anambra. Good morning, Ndi Onitsha. Good morning, Ndi Osumoho Molom. Good morning, everyone, under the reach of our voice. Today is decisive day as far as we are concerned at the Federal High Court in Abuja, the judgment day for Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. Of course, we are going to follow through. But outside that, we've got some other developing issues we must look at. Remember, we cannot do this without the power of the Almighty, who has made everything possible in our own time. And we praise him at all times. We say, all honor, glory be unto his name. You're welcome wherever you are listening to us from.
Okay, so we go to the headlines this very morning. We have 4 newspapers as usual: Vanguard, The Nation, The Guardian, and the Punch newspaper. So we're going to begin with the headlines on the Vanguard newspaper. The front page of Vanguard newspaper is somehow scanty because there is another advertorial coming from Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited. Of course, we know that the owner is Tompolo, government Tompolo. And on the front page, he has sent a congratulatory message to former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, who is marking his 68th birthday. If you look at the Punch newspaper, you will also see the same congratulatory message coming from Tompolo. So let's look at the headlines we have on Vanguard. Beside the nameplate, the headline there reads, FG has lost grip on Northern security. Olawebu Hashim. He's the one saying so. Of course, he's a presidential hopeful under PDP. He's been making comments in the media recently to, of course, put his name on the faces of Nigerians ahead of the 2027 general election. And the headline below the nameplate says, KB Kwara attacks Hall Tinubu strips. The story is on page 5 of Vanguard newspaper. And he has a plenty of riders. The first one says, awaits VP DSS police report on incident. We will use state apparatus to rescue our daughter Shetima. LG chairman releases names of abducted KB students. Another story says JNI decries abduction of KB school girls, demands government action. Bandits attack church, kill 3, abduct many in Kwara community. Other one says angry youths block Ilori Kaba Road over attack. And another writer here says Governor Abdul Razak condemns attack. Soldiers take over Kwara community. These are the writers you can see in that very headline story here on the Vanguard newspaper. Then away from that very story on Vanguard, there are other headlines you might want to check up. And those headlines are inside the pages of Vanguard newspaper. Now, over to the front page of the Nation newspaper. Above the nameplate, ISWAP leader jailed 20 years over terror attacks. The story is on page 3. Capital gain tax to make market more competitive, investment friendly. The story is on page 7 of the Nation newspaper. Daniel remains bona fide APC member. Party tells Ogun chapter. The story is on page 4. Olubado to elevate top Ibadan chiefs tomorrow. The story is on page 5. Then below the nameplate of the Nation newspaper, it says 13% derivation fund. Hope rises for Kogi. The story is on page 6. FAC shares 20 trillion naira to federal government, states cancel. The story is on page 7 of the Nation newspaper. The banner headline says attacks. Tinubu puts troops on highest ever red alert. It has a rider U.S. targeted killings. U.S. targeted killings claim has emboldened terrorists, says federal government. The story is on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Then another headline says capital market turnover hits 10 trillion naira. Foreign surpluses rise on strong inflows. You see the story on the front page of the Nation newspaper. And the headline says police seal off PDP headquarters with barbed wire. Okay, the story is on page 3. Then what's the Boko Haram insurgency over, says Zulum. The story is on page 3. And the last headline says LP Senator Ezea dies at 62. The story is on page 4. It was quite a sad one yesterday when the story broke that Okeza was dead. Initially, people thought it was a rumor, but it was confirmed by the family that he had passed on. May his soul rest in peace. Then over to the Guardian newspaper, we have the banner headline here. It says, outrage over rising abductions, attacks as army rallies 24,000 recruits. The story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. SMBLF fears Nigeria drifting towards one-party rule. The story is on page 4. Alleged Christian genocide. FG accuses US of inciting violent groups. The story is on page 4. FG states local government area share 2.09 trillion naira as October revenue. Check page 4 of the Ghana newspaper. Cross River to begin forensic audit of civil servant certificate in January. The story is on page 34 of Ghana newspaper. Health worker strike will continue until FG reviews Conhurst. Check page 34 of Ghana newspaper. Over 6,386 cargoes detained by MPF Customs incur 472.5 million naira daily demurrage. Check story on page 15 of Ghana newspaper. Northern groups reject FEC's lopsided road project. Check page 36. Governor Yusuf presents 1.36 trillion naira 2026 budget. The story is on page 36. 230 million Nigerians to unseat Tinubu, defecting governors, El Rufai says. Check page 36 of Ghana newspaper. Of course, El Rufai has been talking likewise Balaji Abdullahi of the ADC, how Nigerians are going to team up to ensure that they get to defeat President Bola Tinubu in 2027. Of course, after talking the talk, the next will be to walk the talk. We now move over to the next newspaper, which is the Punch newspaper. And the banner headline says, Kwara, KB abductions, FG blames US as kidnap outrage spreads. The story is on page 2. It has a rider, Tinubu cancels foreign trips. Troops storm Kwara after bandit kill 2. Abduct 35 worshippers. Shetima, KB, Kwara government visit families. Like I said initially, that there is an advertorial coming from Tantita Group, which was made to congratulate former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, who is marking his 68th birthday. Of course, that advertorial took major part of the front page of Punch newspaper. Then another headline we can find on the front page of the Punch says, terrorism, police tighten southeast security as Kanu knows fate today. The story is on page 7. And then this one says, weakest lamps to Raki as police seal PDP secretariat. The story is on page 7. And these are the headlines we have on the front pages of the 4 newspapers we have this very morning. Next is going to be for us to look at what the issues are. Okay, so thank you for staying tuned to the Radio 104.7 FM. You are listening to the Polity. It's now 9:29 a.m. and we are giving the headlines on various newspapers. And it's now time for us to look at what the issues are. My name is Franklin Ebikanda. Like I said initially, that I'm with Tony Olisambeki on today's edition of this very program. Don't forget we are live on our Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Get on that very page, like it, follow, and share the post there. Don't forget that you have the liberty to share your thoughts on any of the issues we're going to raise this very morning. Don't forget that decent language matters, and also your location is also important to us when you are posting. Then on YouTube and Instagram, we are Udara Radio. Just get on these very platforms and then get interactive. Okay, so we'll begin with the big story, which is about the insecurity challenge in the country. Of course, ever since Donald Trump made a proclamation about Nigeria, claiming that there is a Christian genocide going on in this very country, of course, we have not known any peace, or the government of Nigeria has not rested. Government has been on defense all this very while, but the people on the other side, they've been on the path of acceleration, asking Donald Trump to strike. In fact, even yesterday in Norca, somewhere around Regina, where I was in the afternoon, I saw I was with about four men who were discussing Nigeria. And guess what we were discussing? They were asking when is Trump coming. He's been waiting for so long that they want Trump to come and help to quell whatever it is that we're having in this very country. But Nigeria has not had it so good in recent past because as we're talking about the issue of genocide claim, there was an attack in Kwara State and in Kebbi State. In Kebbi State, there were abductions. 25 schoolgirls were abducted from a government comprehensive girls' school. And then in Kwara State, in a place called Ekuru, I think, bandits invaded a church, killed people, killed 2 persons, abducted many, and made away with their belongings. And people have been crying foul. But yesterday, the SGF, talking about the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, he addressed a press conference where he claimed that, or rather, he blamed the renewed terror attack in Nigeria, including the abduction of schoolgirls in Kebbi State and the assault on worshippers in Eruku, Kwara State, on recent remarks by United States President, talking about Donald Trump. He's saying that statement which was made by Trump, alleging that there is a Christian genocide in Nigeria, that it has been, or that it has emboldened opportunistic violent groups, the way he said it, and that these very groups are now seeking to justify attacks on soft sport. And let me take a quote from what he said. He said, a recent pronouncement from the United States have inadvertently emboldened opportunistic violent groups seeking to exploit international narratives and make bold statements by attacking soft targets. Akume said this on Wednesday. He tried to address the evolution of violent extremism, banditry, and ongoing security challenges in the country. And he said that before this statement, that insurgency structures have been significantly degraded and reduced to isolated banditry. According to him, he was able to categorize what led to the evolution of Boko Haram and then what led to the evolution of banditry. According to him, Boko Haram is ideology-based, while banditry is driven by economic deprivation. And he tried to put up a defense why the claim by U.S. is not true. But let's begin with what he said, that what U.S. President said is what is driving this recent wave of attacks here and there in Nigeria, the killing of a military officer, the abduction in Kebbi State, and then the attack on a church in Eruku in Kwara State. Tony, is there any point in what he's saying?
Absolutely, there's no point. It's more like damage control, and he's just trying to make a statement that implies, making saves or trying to save one's image or trying to save one's face. The point remains that we are at the crossroad. There is no doubt. There is no doubt. We are at the crossroad. It's important to know that there is no credible evidence that Donald Trump's statement in early November 2025 accusing Nigeria of allowing a Christian genocide, designating it as a country of particular concern, cutting aid and threatening U.S. military intervention, including troops or airstrikes, have fueled or caused an increase in killings of Christians, including the specific incidents in Kebbi and Kwara states, which also include the execution of a brigadier general. In context, we must take responsibility. I don't like the idea of trying to apportion blames to people just for us to sound righteous or to sound being, flawless. So I think we must own up. We have had insecurity, waves of attacks even before Donald Trump made that very statement, and it has continued. So why would the SGF come out to say that it was his statement that has increased these strikes? We should be talking about what has been going on, because if you look at different data from groups like ACLED, Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, they have given us data on these issues from time to time, from period to period. Are we going to talk about the KB incident? So how can somebody say that it was a statement made in US that prompted the attack, where gunmen attacked a girls' secondary school, abducting 25 school girls, killing at least one staff member. And then the one that happened in Kwara, where government stormed the Christ Apostolic Church in Iruku during service, killing at least 2 people and abducting the pastor and several worshippers. And this was a targeted attack on a Christian site, adding concerns about violence in central Nigeria. In fact, these attacks occurred about 2 to 3 weeks after Trump's initial statements, and these threats peaked early November. In fact, these are parts of Nigeria's ongoing long-term security crisis, where thousands have been killed annually across different states. So it's not directly linked to Trump's rhetorics. So for context, we must be able to own up and take responsibility when it matters. I have not seen direct link, no credible evidence. And why would we just try to say this? Because we are trying to give the government a first-person measure. Just like I said, it's a damage control. It has happened. Have we been doing anything about it? Yes. But what we have been doing about these things, how strong are these things? The answer is there have not been any signs that these things are going down based on whatever we are marching against these people. And the concern should be, because these terrorists, these bandits, as you are trying to respond to the one they have committed, they are also planning another one. What happens to our intelligence gathering? We talked about situation. We saw what Nuhu Ribadu, because just like when we are actually coming in here, he made mention that he went to United States of America, and then where he met a U.S. congressman. He met Riley Moore. And I'm going to look at why he met Riley Moore anyway, because I know that Riley Moore is a member of U.S. House of Representatives who began serving in Congress January this year. I know that he sits on the House Appropriation Committee, and within that Appropriation Committee is also a member of subcommittees for Commerce, Justice, Science, Labor, Health, Education, and Legislative Branch. So we know very well that Moore has been very critical about what is going on in Nigeria, and he has been very punchy about all these things. Probably the need for Ribadu and his delegation to meet him. So I know for sure that even the motion and other things he has come up in the U.S. Congress, these things were channeled against Nigeria. But I know that Ribadu meeting Riley Moore is clearly pushing for oversight and more like a pressure to him to bounce back a bit. So, for whatever reason, after they had put for Nigeria to be labeled a country of particular concern, and Moore is using even a diplomatic lever that could lead to restriction or conditionalities on U.S. assistance unless Nigeria takes steps to address violence. So that meeting, whatever comes out of it, because it's not just the only one, Ribadu and Co. they are meeting, that is part of the diplomatic engagement they have started as a way of trying to bring down the pressure. But outside that, just like I said earlier on, Moore has been very vocal about Christian persecution in Nigeria. He wrote to the U.S. In fact, he was the one that wrote to the U.S. Secretary of State calling for Nigeria to be redesignated as a country of particular concern because of what he describes as systematic attacks on Nigerians. He also introduced a House resolution condemning the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. So I understand why Ribadu and his team were able to meet him. Remember, before now, Moore was a state treasurer of West Virginia before he became a congressman, starting his tenure in January. But outside that, we have also seen what is actually going on. We thought about the one of Nicki Minaj, the artist, the music artist. You find out that Nicki Minaj, for instance, is known all over by those who are into entertainment and those who know much about that industry. I think some days back, the rapper, he spoke at the U.S. mission to the United Nations, an event on religious violence in Nigeria. The event was hosted by the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, Mike Waz, and it was focused on combating religious violence and the killings of Christians in Nigeria. But if you look at what Minaj said, that Christians in Nigeria are being targeted, driven from their homes and killed, and that churches have been burned, families have been torn apart simply because of how they pray. That's according to Nicki Minaj. And she went on to thank Donald Trump for prioritizing the issue and supporting international action to protect Christians. But according to her, she framed her intervention as one motivated by humanity and justice, not politics, saying that she's not even interested in international politics or local politics. But then she even went as far as urging the United Nations to respond that when one church is destroyed, the foundation of the United Nations should shake. That's according to that's a statement, Nicki Minaj. When one church is destroyed, the foundation of United Nations should shake. But we know very well that Nigerian government, Nigerian officials, they have all denied there is a Christian genocide, because the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, said data being used in these claims is grossly inaccurate. But in all of this brouhaha, the pressure is coming from international quarter. Why? I don't know if Ribadu would also go and see Nicki Minaj, because it seems that whoever that is propagating or pushing or being vocal about what is going on in Nigeria, the government delegation will try to see the person and possibly tell their own side of the story. But it is everywhere in the world. It's going viral. It's going so wild.
Now the Nigerian government is raising concern that there was a UN event where Nicki Minaj was, welcome to testify, and there was no invitation extended to Nigeria to also have somebody in that conference to also speak on behalf of the government. And they're saying that it was as if it was a pre-planned event whereby the outcome was predetermined. What do you say about this?
I think it's not about being given opportunity to do what Nicki Minaj did. Why she testified a baby based on that, and then why Nigerian delegation or Nigerian officials or Nigerian government was not given the same time to do that at UN. Because remember, it's their own thing. It is their thing. Just like I said earlier on, if you look at it, you find out that where the whole thing was going on, it was not an avenue for you talk, I talk. It was not intended at all. That's not the intention. And just like I said earlier on, it's not about being given opportunity to speak. The question is, what are you doing? Even the more that Ribadu delegation made, he said he needs to see a practical step being made by Nigerian government in arresting what he described as Christian genocide. That's what he told the delegation, Ribadu delegation, because Ribadu told him everything he needed to tell him, put up everything he needed to put up, trying to dissuade his thought about his perception about Nigeria. But he said he hasn't seen anything. Practical step. That's what he told them. Now, coming back to the issue of Nicki Minaj and what Nicki Minaj said, and then the Nigerian government concerned that they were not given opportunity to speak. Just like I said earlier on, is neither here nor there. The rapper felt that she needed to speak because it was at the U.S. mission to United Nations event about religious violence in Nigeria. That's the event all about. And people were talking. And if Nigerian government had not been invited, which is also an infradig on the side of Nigerian government, because if you are talking about Nigeria, you should also give them invite to tell us what is actually going on, since it has to do with an event at a U.S. mission to the United Nations. And you've seen how the whole thing is going. What do you think you'll do? Maybe we have to make those efforts to find a way to speak on most of these international conferences, but it does not in any way negate what is going on. If we had spoken there And then you saw where a reverend father was kidnapped. You saw where Christians were attacking in Kwara State. Wouldn't we make nonsense of us? It will have, see, you are speaking, trying to tell people it is not so, and it is happening in your home. It makes nonsense of everything.
Tony, there have been several commentaries about the security concerns in Nigeria. Talk about the killings we have been having in different parts of the country. Of course, there's no day we wake up without reading stories about killings here and there, either as a result of banditry, as a result of kidnapping, as a result of Boko Haram insurgency, or whatever you have. But any day you wake up and begin to search, you must surely find a tragic story of how people were killed in this very country. But we have never seen this kind of, should I say, concern by the government of Nigeria. And that's why we are asking questions. Why is the Nigerian government on the edge or so much rattled about this genocidal claim by the US this time around? Why is this rattleness? Because everybody in the government is actually making an effort to see how they can get US on a cooperation or to sit on the table and talk about this very matter.
Why they are rattled when you are being threatened is only a tree that we hear it will be caught and it will stay there and do nothing. Is one of our proverbs. When you are being threatened with military airstrike, when you are being threatened with invasion, when you are being threatened that they will invade and kill these terrorists, that we have not made any strong statement about killing them or taking them out of our territorial lands. So it is important. Just like I said, it is natural for every member of government to be rattled.
But if what the US wants to do is to come in and take out the terrorists, should that worry the government?
It depends on how they are going to coordinate it. You don't trust anybody. How are they going to coordinate it? And they cannot come without other intentions. And what could be other intentions? That is the fear. It's not usually the way it is being said. You know, many Nigerians have been saying, come and do this. Come on. Nobody does anything for you for free. So they will waste their resources to kill terrorists and go back home. It's not possible, because once they do that, they have established a stronghold in Nigeria. Possibly they could build a military base. Because the issue of fighting terrorism is not just, if you come today and fight all of them and leave, they will come back, they will regroup. But it's all about fighting them and being ever present in that area. So what it means that the US, we have their military base situated in Nigeria. The fight, yes, could be, according to Trump, it will be swift. And then look at the languages he used. So if you look at the languages, meaning that they are going to remain here. And then how can you call yourself a sovereign nation when you have another sovereign nation who has taken hold or who has come to your conclave to stay? So there are so many things that disconnect. And I understand the concern of the Nigerian government. That's why I'm so much of the opinion that we must change gear. The gear with which we are fighting terrorism is long, or in fact outdated. I think if we are fighting, we are using gear one. We have to.
From what we are doing now, are we seeing any genuine move to rise to the issue of insecurity in the country? Because we have seen the president postponing his planned foreign trip to G20 leadership summit in South Africa and as well AU summit in Angola. And yesterday he stayed put. Don't forget that he sent vice president to go to Kebbi State to say things for himself and then get back to him. And the issue of the killings or the mission of church in Kwara State also came up, and he postponed this 2 foreign trip that he had planned to embark upon. And he began to evaluate all these actions we have been taking. So these actions we have seen coming from the federal government, are they face-saving actions, or are you trying to read a genuine concern or a genuine effort to rise to the occasion and tell the government of the US that, of course, we are doing our best to tame insecurity in the country?
It was afterthought on my own part, because ordinarily the scheduled visit shouldn't have been on schedule. It shouldn't have been. But remember, we were here yesterday, and when I was talking yesterday, I said Mr. President should either postpone or cancel that visit. You don't go to such summits when there are crises in your home. they are sure okay. We have seen it many times. And we have seen situations where we don't respond to these emergencies. Most times we have to talk, and we saw what happened before Vice President was ordered to visit Plateau State. When it happened, Mr. President couldn't go. The President visited Benue. And it didn't just come that very day. Our emergency response system is something we must also review. It is not appropriate, it's not as expected. And I said that schedule shouldn't have been on the schedule visit. If it shouldn't have been, it could have been mentioned that Mr. President is waiving this ab initio. But being that he had been scheduled already and now he has postponed it, it's an afterthought. It could be a case of what people will say, what the United Nations, what the United States, what Nigerians would say, or the backlash that could come as a result of that. So these are commonly the reason. Whether it serves genuine concern or not, it is left for the government to decide or to talk or to tell us. But I know many Nigerians will tell you that it doesn't serve as a genuine concern of the insecurity going on in the country. My concern is, what are we doing?
So what do you think that the Nigerian government is not doing well in the way it's been handling this a U.S. claim of Christian genocide? Because ever since Donald Trump made that very statement, of course, government has been running helter-skelter trying to do one or two. But some persons have been have been faulting some of the moves that have been taken. Some persons believe that a government of the day has not taken any genuine step towards addressing the situations. But almost every day in the media now, we get to read about what the government is doing. Was not yesterday we read about a Boko Haram leader who was sentenced to 15 years imprisonment, and guess what, that judgment was delivered on Tuesday, but the story came out yesterday. We have also read stories about the number of Boko Haram people who have been convicted and some other persons. So but people are still finding fault in the way government is approaching the same. People are saying that they are not doing what they're supposed to do, and also even playing the politics that's supposed to be involved.
In fact, if you ask me, I will tell you that it is just the same old way of doing things, and which has not yielded result. It's the same old way of doing things. What are we doing? Hearing stories about the terrorists being convicted, or these are not what we stamp out this terrorism we're talking about. I thought by now the advice made by National Council, Mr. President would have convened Council of State meeting. That is one. The NEC, National Economic Council meeting, they have made a proposal for the creation of state police. I think at this point we should accelerate it. With a threat made by Donald Trump and with clear intention and strong intent to root out terrorism, I think by now the president ought to have come up with either a bill to alter Section 214 of the Constitution, which has received some applause, which has been concluded, which some states have also backed, to review Section 214 of the Constitution to allow for the creation of state police, local government police, and community police, to make some of these ungoverned spaces to be policed. It could have been a strong statement. It could have been a strong determination, but I have not seen that. I have not seen effort. That is one. And secondly, I thought by now Mr. President will be thinking of declaring emergency in some of these troubled states. It might not necessarily mean to depose the governors who are there, but I know if he does it now without deposing the governors, people will read meaning into it. Political meaning. People will ask, why are you not deposing governors in there, but you did so in River State? But we know what he did in River State was purely and thoroughly political. There's no doubt about it. But I thought by now some of these areas, Mr. President will declare emergency. We have to see airstrikes. Most of these things hovering. Even the terrorists are not giving a hot chase. They are still in Sambisa forest, they are still in some other areas, they are still in some places doing their business as usual. I thought by now the NFIU, those concerned with the movement and flows either in the area of funds, whoever that is there should be sacked. They are not doing anything. I have not seen what they have been doing in a way to arrest or to nip in the bud the financial flow these terrorists are making use of. Remember yesterday I did say that look at the revenue they generate, look at what these people, they are what. I reeled out the numbers yesterday, and you find out that these things, if you denominate them in dollars, that's a huge and humongous amount. Making use of drones. Which financial institution through which financial institution did they purchase the drones that have been making use of? Because you can't just go with cash to get those things. So you find out that we are not doing quite a lot in the area of their financing and funding. We are not doing any much about in the area of widening the fight against insurgency. I have reeled out some of the things I expected the government to do, and we are not seeing that being done. And we are not seeing the terrorists being given a hot chase where they may even run off, flee to the border areas. We have not seen that, and we have not seen the president sitting, so troubled, calling for council of state meeting on, seeking for advice, seeking for input from some of these people who have had it. So there are so much I'm not seeing going on. So it's just the old way of doing it, which hasn't yielded the much needed result.
Okay, so conversely, because why the government of Nigeria has not been seen doing what it's supposed to do, according to your evaluation, we have seen the terrorists on the other hand, being emboldened or increasing the tempo of their attacks. Because while we're talking about this whole thing, we had 3 different attacks in different places, and there were casualties. In Kwara State, we had 2 casualties. A church was invaded. People were kidnapped. You go to talk about Kebbi State, where 22 school girls were kidnapped, and as we speak now, nobody has been rescued. Though there was yesterday that a senator from their area was on TV, and he was even giving out some critical information that I found very distressing. That he was even saying that they've been able to pinpoint where the girls were being held, but because of one reason or the other, they have not been able to strike. Then you talk about the brigadier general who was killed. All these things happened within a space of 1 week. So what can you say is actually emboldening these very terrorists?
What is emboldening these terrorists? They are not being resisted. They are not being fought in a way that they will go to their trenches. There were times we are told that they had run to their trenches. They have high.
So is it that they have superior firepower, or they have better capacity than the Nigerian army?
It is not about capacity, but it's about being unchecked. They do their things without resistance. Look at how they kidnapped 25 school children or school girls in Kebbi State, in Mago, and we have said everything about that Mago. They did it for hours without anybody putting any resistance. Why they were doing that? What do you call that? And they went all away with the abducted school girls, and no resistance. Sometimes they will give a video. That is why I said they are not being resisted. If you go to Kebbi State, how many police are deployed in Kebbi State? How many of them are in different local governments? How many of them have presence in most of these local governments? How many of them have presence in most of these communities? No, they find out that these people can go. It's just like you being on this side, they're on the other side. And you have your own government on one side, they have their own government on the other side. That's not the kind of country we want to run. The point is, they have their own capacity. The Nigerian army has their own capacity. And they have their own field. Nigerian army, possibly they have their own field. So they are doing their things,
So what do you think is the handicap that has put the Nigerian army in somewhat disadvantaged position to confront this? Because we have known our armies to be diligent, that when they go for some external assignment, they do marvelously well. But in our own case here, sometimes we see them even falling for ambush. I keep on wondering if there is any internal sabotage in their effort to root out these very guys.
There is internal sabotage, there's no doubt. I told you earlier on that these bandits, these terrorists that have infiltrated different military and security institutions, there's no doubt about that. And that's why before they make any coordinated attacks, these terrorists, they have get some clearance and intelligence from those of their friends who are in these institutions, so they will be very easy for them. And if you look at what happened in Kebbi, where the president was saying there was an intelligence that they would attack, and nobody acted on it. And what meant nobody acted on it, we have not even known. Has anybody been sacked for this kidnapping? The answer is no. Has anybody taken responsibility on the side of government that this happened where I'm supposed to do this, I didn't do this, and it happened? Has anybody been relieved of his appointment or being arrested for prosecution for negligence? Nothing. And it has been a routine thing from time to time. And if you ask questions, the person who you may want to arrest for negligence will also tell you other people who are involved. We have not shown strong political will in fighting terrorism. We have not shown that. From government to government, it didn't start with this government. We have not shown strong political will. And I've said many times that some politicians have hands in what is going on. And that is why the lack of political will is manifestly open. Politicians, many of them would also want to use these people for the next election. You want to tell me that the terrorists and bandits that have been doing all this, they have a way of influencing elections? Is known. So we cannot just pretend that we don't know all this. So you find out that what is holding back, if we really want to ensure that we bring security police in different local governments, what is holding back the state police, local government police, and community police as approved? I wouldn't want to use the word approved, as recommended by National Economic Council. Why hasn't Mr. President called the Council of State meeting and asked for input on how to go about this? And you also ask, why are we still using the same old method in fighting these insurgent groups? So it is a whole lot we are not doing.
Okay, so we have to go for commercial break now. But before then, just to let you know that today is the D-Day for the delivery of judgment in the case involving Mazinandi Kano. And as I speak to you now, we gathered that at the courtroom already, TV stations have already mounted cameras like NTA Channels TV, AIT TV. So they have all mounted their cameras there because the judgment is going to be live on television. Stay with us, we are going to be right back.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM.
When the city sleeps, the river remembers. When the drums call, Onitsha awakens. This December, the call grows louder as Udala Radio joins forces with the Golibe Festival 2025. From December 26th to New Year's Day, the heartbeat of the East comes alive. Music, laughter, art, culture, and the unstoppable joy of homecoming. Golibe! This year promises more energy, more color, more connection. A festival for every proud son and daughter of Igbo land. Stay tuned to Udala Radio, your front row seat to the celebration that never fades. Golibe! Golibe Festival 2025. Exclusive media support by Udala Radio. It's not just a festival, it's who we are.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
Alright, so thank you for staying tuned to Udala Radio 4.7 FM. You are listening to The Polity. It's 4 minutes past 10 a.m. My name is Franklin Ebuka and we are bringing you stories from the pages of newspapers. We just finished our conversation on the security situation in the country, and as well as that claim which was made by the US that there has been a Christian genocide in Nigeria, which has rattled everybody. And we have begun switching our gears. Now let's get into the other conversation, which is the expected judgment delivery on the case involving Mazin and Kano. Don't forget that Justice James Omotosho, the Federal High Court in Abuja, had fixed today for the judgment in that very case. We know how that very case went, how Kano, opted to defend himself, how he mentioned that he was going to call witnesses for them to come and testify, and he made a U-turn saying that he wasn't going to call any witness, and the judge gave him several times for him to open defense, and he stood his ground that he wasn't going to do that. But later he filed some applications, and today is the day for delivery of judgment in that very case, and all eyes are on the court to know what is going to be the judgment. But as we speak, we gathered about that security agencies have mounted checks at some places to ensure that there's no breakdown of law and order by the time the judgment is delivered. We do not know what judgment is going to be. We can only do analysis and look at how things are going to do, or how things might likely pan out. So, Tony, from what we gathered this very morning, that the court registrar has confirmed that the judgment delivery is going to be on live broadcast. TV stations are going to carry it live, and like I mentioned that already, the cameras of NTA, Channels TV, AIT, TVC, they have been mounted in the courtroom with their gadgets waiting for the judgment delivery to begin. I do not know the exact time that the judgment delivery is going to start, but all we are sure of is that Justice James Omotosho is set to deliver his judgment today, being November 20th, 2025. And like we said, that just the judge fixed this very date after Kano's defense was foreclosed, following his insistence that he would not enter his defense under a repealed law. And like I said before, that Justice Omotosho held that Kano had already exhausted his 6 days allocated to him by the court for him to conduct his defense, and then the court waived that very right he had, and this is the day. We do not know what is going to happen, but whatever becomes the case, what are you foreseeing, Tony?
I'm foreseeing judgment, because today is the D-Day by the Federal High Court, and as you rightly pointed out earlier on, Kano has filed or put on a no case submission, which the court has overruled, and the court maintains that he has a case to answer. And recall that the prosecution has opened up their case. They called witnesses, and according to the court, the prima facie has been established. But if you look at what Kano has canvassed and what he has argued, he has consistently argued that repealed laws cannot be used to try him, rendering the 7 count amended charges against him invalid, incompetent, and unconstitutional. If you look at some of these laws, he argued that Terrorism Prevention Act 2011 as amended by the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act of 2013, which is the main law under which 6 of the 7 terrorism related counts are framed: incitement to terrorism, directing terrorist acts, unlawful importation of radio transmitter for terrorist broadcast, and etc. His argument is simple, and he expressly said that repealed and replaced on the 12th of May 2022 by Section 97 of the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022. That all these things you have brought against me, you said it happened the time it happened in 2017 or in 2015, the time you said it happened. How can you bring a law you amended in 2022 to try what happened in 2017 or 2015? So you made a law for me, and it is for me something that is being upheld in every known judicial system, that laws are not retrogressive in nature. You don't make laws to try what had happened before it. If you look at it, that prosecuting anyone under a repealed statute violates Section 36, subsection 12 of the 1999 Constitution, which I can paraphrase that no offense or punishment except by a written law in force at the time of trial and makes the charges dead on arrival, that courts must take judicial notice of the repeal under section 122 of the Evidence Act 2011. And if you look at Customs and Excise Management Act cap C45 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, remember this law is also cited in one of the counts relating to the alleged unlawful importation of radio transmission equipment. Tran 50 transmitter.
Tony, have you seen that very argument that the claim by Kano that the Terrorism Act has been repealed? That is not true. Some persons are arguing that it's not true. That what happened was that the Customs Act was amended. That what he has hinged his argument on might not be tenable at the end of the day.
I think he made those submissions before Justice James Omotosho, and Justice James Omotosho said that these things were part of the final judgment. So but he didn't wave it aside. He didn't in any way say it is this or it is not this. He said it will be part of the final judgment. So anybody who is making such argument that there was no repeal, the person should also be in touch with reality and have maintained here these laws were repealed. You find out that Terrorism Prevention Act of 2011 as amended by Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act of 2013, they were repealed and replaced on 12th of May 2022 by section 97 of the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act of 2022. I'm just trying to quote a particular section. And then just cited the Custom and Excise Management Act cap C45 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. So you can also look at other related arguments canvassed by Nnamdi Kanu, that one count originally involving a different provision was effectively buried or renumbered after the Supreme Court's 2023 ruling. So the prosecution, because if you look at other arguments he made, that the proscription of IPOB, which underpins some counts, because they keep referring IPOB as a proscribed organization, according to Kanu in his argument that it was obtained ex parte without fair hearing, violating constitutional rights. So I remember that even the matter is still on, but we have seen judgment on that, but I think it has been appealed. So in any case, the D-Day is today. So Justice James Omotosho must have known all these arguments, even when Kanu believes that he has no case to answer. And he has told him to wait for the final judgment.
Tony, as you speak now, if you look by your right hand side, you see that it's already on screen, that the court is already seated, and it's ongoing now. I'm talking about at the Federal High Court, Abuja. You can see the judges already seated, and I understand that it's about judgment delivery. There's a breaking news now talking about an application which was brought under certain sections by Kanu. Okay, so we're going to see more on that by the time this case this unfolds, because definitely we're going to get judgment today, and once we get that, be sure that we're going to break it to you here on this very platform.
Definitely, because what Kanu has brought, as we see, as we are also waiting that he should not be in detention over charges that does not exist. He has also brought another bail application saying that how can you keep me in detention when the charges you are detaining me for, these charges do not exist. I think that's just the issue that is ongoing at this point as we speak, because he has relied on extension of the law to say there is no judgment as he has filed his no case submission. So the process is on, the judgment delivery is ongoing, but as we speak now, he's not bothered about the judgment. What he is bothered about is that the motion he has brought, motion on notice, which he filed at the Court of Appeal, and then it's something he believes that he cannot be held by charges that do not exist as far as our laws are concerned. So we're going to look at some of these things by the time the judge makes pronouncement. We are not going to preempt the judgment of Federal High Court led by Justice James Omotosho. Okay. We have just looked at the arguments I have made so far, and the judge has taken note of this argument and said everybody should wait for the judgment.
Okay, so let's look at what is happening in PDP, because as we gather this very morning, the police has taken over the secretariat, And in fact, if you look at the videos and the pictures, you can see the secretariat barricaded with the barbed wire. In this very case, nobody will be able to have an access into that very headquarters. Of course, we're not going to recycle the incident of a few days ago, which was described as a show of shame, because it was like PDP being factionalized, and also having police force also factionalized, because each faction went with their own policemen loyal to them, and we saw how that happened. But how do you situate the action of the police now by going to barricade the National Secretariat?
I think their action is so late, and they have shown some level of bias in the way and manner they acted. I thought that they would have done that yesterday, where they could have prevented anybody from having access to that very Wadata Plaza, but they did not do that. What it means that they had allowed one faction to have access, and the other faction decided that that cannot happen, and that was why we had that show of shame, show of disgrace that we saw the other day. Now they deployed a kind of barbed wire to ensure that nobody gets access. Nigerian police should own up, be an institution of repute, be there to protect the people. Over time, we've seen them taking sides. During protests, we saw what happened during the NSAS protests. We've seen, so many things they have also orchestrated, and the US is also taking note of this. They are also taking note of this. One thing I know about this country is that the fear of US is the beginning of wisdom, because many of them have properties, have one thing or the other as far as that is concerned, and have bank accounts denominated in dollars outside the country. But even when the law says that you should not have as a public office holder, but we've seen all these things going on from time to time. That was why even when the deputy senate president was telling the senate president to make some certain statement, or even reiterated a particular alleged statement he made against US, he said, I never made such statement. It cannot come from me. Who am I to speak to respond to United States of America? So this tells you how he's just trying to hide under a cover where he wouldn't want to implicate himself. So the point I'm just trying to make is that the police, they have not acted right. What they are doing now ought to have been done before now. But for them, that because if some people are really meaning to what they are doing now, that because the other faction chased weaker faction out of the secretariat, now you now put the barbed wire and say nobody should get access, when Turaki faction successfully chased weaker faction out of that very place, drove them away, and now you have now acted to put barbed wire and that nobody will come in there. If the other party had chased the other party away, would you have done the same thing? So it's neither here nor there, because Nigerians are having this argument on social media, trying to also imply that police is also a complicit in this. But what I'm trying to say is that they ought to have done this before now.
There is an argument that the problem of PDP is still escalating because INEC has refused to take a stance. This argument is saying that if INEC had taken a stance based on the retinue of court judgments or orders before it, and say, make a pronouncement that this is the people we recognize, that this case would have been de-escalated by now.
No, INEC had told weaker faction when Manyan wrote to them, that they told them, if you go to INEC website now, it wouldn't tell me that you wouldn't find nobody there. INEC, from the last I checked, still recognized Damagon, but Damagon had handed over, but they have not recognized the new chairman, Saminu Turaki. They have not. The last they did was to recognize Damagon, which they wrote to Anyan that they cannot recognize them. They cannot recognize Muhammad Abdurrahman, whom Wike had brought from nowhere, handpicked. So for now, INEC, for them to still recognize Damagon, shows that they don't give recognition to Samini Turaki because they were not there. But being not there cannot also decide if they would recognize or not recognize. The matter should be before an appeal court. And we have said many times that the issues of nomination, membership, leadership of a political party, according to Supreme Court, is not justiciable. No court has jurisdiction to look into anything that has to do with membership, nomination, leadership of a political party. It is purely an internal party activity. That is the position of the Supreme Court. That political parties are the laws unto themselves when it comes to their leadership, when it comes to their membership, and then when it comes to the issue of nominations. So That's the position of the Supreme Court. So any court that does entertain any of these things should know that he does that on his own volition without any backing of the law. So for me, just like I've always said, no matter how wrong a court order is, it must be looked into. These issues will be looked into at the appeal court. And for the fact that these people were able to chase Wike side out of the secretariat, police are reacting to that chase, bringing barbed wire to encircle it and say nobody goes in there. So be it. That is the situation of the things, the way we see it.
Okay, so from what you just said now, because we might be looking up to the judiciary or the NJC to see how it's going to react, because if we have a Supreme Court judgment which has become a judicial precedent, and a law on its own saying that anything about political matter or political party internal affairs or anything about political parties is internal affairs that should be decided in-house and should not be taken to court, and we have lower courts sitting to hear such cases and assuming jurisdiction over such cases, you now wonder what has become judiciary, because that same judiciary was on the crucible. That should be about 2 days ago, when it was alleged that during their conference that an anthem which is aligned to Mr. President was recited during the event, but the body responsible has come out to say that there's no any atom of truth in what has been bandied.
I think during the judges' conference, when Mr. President said that judgment shall not be for sale, and we applauded Mr. President for making that very statement, and also charged Mr. President to give or show commitment to that very statement that, you know, justice shall never be for sale. But I watched the video. At the point, Mr. President, at the point he finished his speech, there was this rendition: "On your mandate we shall stand. On your mandate we shall stand. On your mandate, on your mandate, on your mandate we shall stand." There was that rendition, and then during that rendition, some judges were singing it. So we saw the video. So for National Judicial Council NJC to come out and say that it was lie, it was fake, nothing like that happened. The one I saw, the rendition I saw,
because what
I saw it.
What NJI is saying, they're saying that the people that recited or sung the Undemanded were the Guards Brigade, that the band of Guards Brigade were the ones who rendered that very rendition that people heard, thinking that it was judges who were doing that.
Let me be correct here, please. You're having such a conference. Any conference that is non-partisan, the rendition shouldn't have come. Since it has been known that the band brigade do such renditions, it is important to communicate to them earlier on that this place is not a place for such rendition. Such rendition should be where you are doing partisan politics, where it's an APC affair. You can, sing it. The way I sang it now, the song, somehow there are people, no matter how you look at it, it sound good, but not to be in anywhere recited. It's not the national anthem. In fact, the band brigade and those handling Mr. President protocol should know that the mandate chorus is not the national anthem. If Mr. President wants to render a speech, you sing it. Once it's done, you sing it. Has it become our national anthem? It's not to be sung everywhere. If we are having APC related, conference or APC partisan conference, you sing it. In fact, if you sing it, I'll even join. But if we are having things or a kind of conference that is non-partisan in nature, you should not. And allowing it for the fact that those who convened that conference, because the conference in question was judges conference, and you know that this brigade usually come up with such rendition, the organizers ought to communicate to them in the first place that this is not a place to come up with such rendition, because you don't try to in any way turn the image of these judges with partisanship. You don't.
So it appears everybody has been captured.
But that is it. See, let's not deny it. It is somehow insensitive of the organizers of the conference not to have communicated to the band brigade when it comes to the rendition. Let's be real. Let's be correct in this country.
All right, so we're going to go to the phone lines for us to take your input into this conversation. Don't forget that our phone lines are always there for you to air your view on the issues we have raised this very morning. The phone lines are 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. But that will be after this very commercial break.
From the commercial city of Onitsha comes Udala Radio 104.7 FM, the voice of the region, where authentic news and entertainment meet. Udala Radio 104.7 FM, seriously authentic.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread. For your family breakfast, Wendy's bread. Our chicken they do yellow, Wendy's bread. Mama, papa they like Wendy's bread. Chicken and do, Wendy's bread. Even children they like Wendy's bread. Oh, Wendy's bread. And in town, Wendy's bread. You get it better, tasty, we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread. Wendy's your bachichoma. Wendy's bread,
Wendy's bread, tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, Second Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside CPS, Onitsha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tandy Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
When you think of roofing, think of strength. When you think of durability, think of beauty. And when you think of all three combined, think Best Aluminium MFG Limited. At Best Aluminium, we don't just manufacture roofing sheets. We create protection, comfort, and style for your home and business. Whether you're building from scratch or repairing an old roof, we have exactly what you need. Our products include stone-coated roofing sheets, aluminum roofing sheets, and colored roofing sheets. But that's not all. We also offer residential and commercial roofing services, roof repairs, gutters, emergency roofing services, and even durable cookwares that bring quality to your kitchen. Visit us today at 30/32 Anyika Street, Awada Obosi, Anambra State, or call us right now on 0806-416-2374 or 0706-059-6203. With Best Aluminium, you're investing in peace of mind, in beauty, and in the future of your home. Because when it comes to roofing, the best choice is always Best Aluminium MFG Limited. Tomorrow's technology today. When the city sleeps, the river remembers. When the drums call, Onitsha awakens. This December, the call grows louder as Udala Radio joins forces with the Golibe Festival 2025. From December 26th to New Year's Day, the heartbeat of the East comes alive. Music, laughter, art, culture, and the unstoppable joy of homecoming. Golibe! This year promises more energy, more color, more connection. A festival for every proud son and daughter of Igbo land. Stay tuned to Udala Radio, your front row seat to the celebration that never fades. Golibe! Golibe Festival 2025. Exclusive media support by Udala Radio. It's not just a festival, it's who we are.
This November 2025.
We want to make one sweep. One massive sweep. A massive one-night crusade. It's going to be huge.
Christ Embassy specially invites you to Night of Bliss with Pastor Chris. Date Friday, November 21st, 2025. Time 6 p.m. till dawn. The venues are 1. Justice Chuba Ikpeazu Stadium, Oka Road, Onitsha. 2. Godwin Chebe Stadium, Zix Avenue, Fega. 3. Sir White Field, 153B Ezeweka Road, Awada Obosi. All in Anambra State. Free bus transportation available at major bus stops. For more inquiries,
please call 0810-540-8081.
God bless you.
You dey find where you go get original electronics for this town. You wan furnish your house or office and you dey find where you go buy better furniture. Make you dey waka come Jesus Plaza wey dey number 2 Old Nkese Palace Hotel, Anambra State. Na there the giants for electronics dey. Ezani Electronics Limited, dem get all kinds of television, air conditioners, washing machine. Dem get LG showroom, Scanfrost, Thermocool, Nexus. If na generator you dey find, dem get different make and model like Sena 3250, 10,000 etc, Jinlink, Guabwa, Sumek and listers of 10 kVA etc. You fit see kitchen utensils like Panasonic blender, juice extractor, mixer, toaster, rice cooker, pressure pot. If na furniture, dem get different kinds like TV bench, center tables, size tools, dining tables, dining chairs and many more. The best part be say anything wey you buy for Ezani Electronics, you go get fantastic gifts. Jesus Plaza, home of Ezani Electronics Limited, dey for number 2 Old Nkese Palace Hotel, Anambra State. You fit call them for 0803-673-6932 or 0703-417-2059. Ezani Electronics Limited, in God we trust.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
Okay, so thank you for staying tuned to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. It's 9:32 a.m. and you are listening to The Polity. My name is Frank Nebuk, and it's time for us to open the phone lines for you to join this very conversation. Don't forget that we looked at 3 different things. But before we bring you on, there is a development as regard to the judgment delivery in the case involving Maznandi Kanu. Sultan is going to bring you up to speed with that before we take your calls.
I think there are dramas going on at that court. Nnamdi Kanu has been bundled out of the court according to the order of Justice Omotosho. Justice Omotosho directed security agents to bundle Nnamdi Kanu out of the court, but security agents quietly asked Nnamdi Kanu to leave the court, and then Nnamdi Kanu was shouting that God will punish all of them and all that. So what was the issue? The issue was simple. He had wanted, in fact he filed a written address, and the judge was of the view that you can't file a written address at the day of judgment, that you were given such opportunity to file such an address which you did not take. Now at the day of judgment you are filing same. That is one. And he also made a case of bail, and the judge was of the opinion that these things are part of the things contained in the judgment. Then he also made a case that the matter be referred to appeal court, that he cannot be tried on non-existing charges. And Justice Omotosho reminded him that under section 306 of Administration of Criminal Justice Act, that such matter cannot be, there shall never be stay of prosecution of criminal related charges. There is no stay of prosecution, that the section 306 of Administration of Criminal Justice Act forbids it. Kanu was shouting, insisting there shall be no judgment, there shall be no judgment, saying that this court can never render judgment. He was shouting on top of his voices. At that point, Justice Omotosho directed the security in his works, bundled him out of the court, and security men asked him to leave the court. He quietly left the court, but while he was leaving, he was shouting that God will punish all of them, and the judgment delivery continues.
Okay, so let's see if we can listen to it before we take your call.
I'm a judge. You can't be a judge. You don't know law. You don't know law. Nonsense. Where is the family address? Where is it? Which law gave you the right to waive my family address? Which law gave you that right?
Okay, so that was just a snippet of what happened in court this very morning. Let's go to the phone lines and hear you. 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. Your name?
Opike from Obosi.
Go on, Opike.
Yeah. So see there. I want to ask question. In this country, I'm seeing something very deep. Before, from president down to governor, before anybody assumes any seat, he must surely swear with the Bible or Quran that he will protect life and property. But today, the another way around. See what is happening in this country everywhere. All this secular group of people, the demon secular people, bloodsuckers, call themselves Boko Haram terrorists, anything they call themselves, I don't want to know. And so they bring innocent souls down every day in this country, and everybody keep quiet. 313 million people, few of people sit on top of their glory, they suffer them. The dead were still, those they say God will help. They say prayer, pray to where? If you pray, you don't do anything, your prayer is valid. It's not valid, you don't pray anywhere. Help those who help themselves. If you help yourself, God Almighty will come with full force and help you. Not to close legs and hands, they say God will help. Pray, pray, pray. Where you go pray the thing reach. But innocent souls that have been here, doing them nothing. You enter inside the church to pray. Before you know, they eliminate you people. So the mosque, the same thing inside the market. Nowhere everybody will. If you are walking on the road, you are not safe. But to have people on top, what they want is 2027 election. I beg, I rest my case here. You are blessed, all of you.
All right, thank you, PK, for joining. Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, Funky Nebuka.
Yes, good morning. You're welcome on board.
Good morning to you, Dr. Tony Nisabek.
You're welcome.
Yeah, what shall we just start from Asaba?
Okay, go on.
Okay, I think coming to the case of Kano, I think the judge and those involved need to trade with caution. Because the case of Kano is no longer a regional issue anymore, but it has turned into a national and a global issue. Because there's been people from different parts of the country and different parts of the world talking about it, and talking about how the way the court has been going around with it has been, should I say, unfair. Because you can't hold somebody in detention for the past 5 years and all we've been saying is adjourning after adjourning after adjourning. It's unreasonable. Yes. So I think they should try with caution, do the right thing. The job should try to do the right thing. If not for anything, at least for the sake of sanity and the sake of integrity, they should come up with something reasonable. Because when you fight Kano, you are not just fighting him alone. You are fighting the entire voices of freedom fighters and those that have been oppressed. Yes. Because the fight looks like, a former president of this country said that the fight against Boko Haram is a fight against. No, that is how the fight against Kano is a fight against freedom and Africa's freedom. So they should trade with caution. And the way you go on with it, instead of you protecting your image, you are indirectly amplifying his movement. So I think the judge should try to be reasonable a little bit. Just imagine what's going on in the court. Just imagine. Just imagine. All the time when Kanye is in the court process is going to be like a battleground. All the sort of reasonability, I don't know, the lack of sanity. In fact, let me just end it. Good morning.
All right. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Yes.
Udala.
Good morning, your name?
My name is Solomon. I call it from Ugwagwa.
Go on, Solomon.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I think analysis you're good well for your job. May God bless you.
Thank you so much.
this everything. What about Wike?
Okay. Hello. If you want to join this very program, please just coordinate yourself so that when you call in, you'll be able to go straight to the point and address the issues we have. All right. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Franklin.
Yes. Good morning. Your name?
Honorable Evans, the mayor. Kutukume, Ukulola, Uchendo na Umezemeka Awudandobi, calling from Awada. Can I go on?
Yes, go on, sir.
Yes, let me first of all tell Nigerians that the American government and the American system of doing things are not the way Nigeria people does their own thing. They're thinking that you do everything and go free. I know the people must come to the rescue of Christians in this country, but because of their way of living, he's trying to follow the process. I knew quite well that many Nigerians know that Americans and the world have been observing Nigeria, and that they know all the truth about the clean and genocide and all the atrocities our politicians are committing. They know everything about that. And now, they want to come and invade Nigeria and do the needful. Nigerian people are running self-security. Even up to now, not trying to live up to expectation. I want to ask Tony Ritambeki, Tony, please, can you tell us what may be the reason why there have not been any government that are serious fighting this insurgency? Could it be because of the money that they are budgeted for insurgency that makes them not to be serious to stop it? Or could it be that they don't care about the people that are being killed every day in this country? Secondly, I knew quite well that by the grace of God, the judgment can come to his way. But the way he's going about this issue can even command the judge to do a different thing that he expects. There's the way you address issues. Quite okay, he did nothing. But all these are beautiful words and hate speech, I think it's not helping matter. But I pray that God will tell the heart of these people do the needful, even not knowing what they do the needful. Because I know quite well, I'm not trying to prevent, they have already know what to do. They are just trying to follow some process. I want to give it to this judge. He's very fast. Everything that other judges are following this case, the way this judge are following it. I don't think that by now we are still talking about now the candidate. Thank you and God bless you. And police should take time. The way they do work in this country, the office of PDP, that shows that Wike is controlling them. God bless you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for joining the conversation. Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Yes. Thank you for coming on board.
Badmos or no her. I'm calling from.
Go on, Mr. Badmos.
Good. Let me start with Nnamdi Kanu, the way he behaved in the court. Let me tell you, when you have found out that those accusing you have also have the judgment, they have also tinted their way to nail you. There is no need for you to be going there and behaving a good boy. So what Nnamdi Kanu is doing there is the right thing, because the court, the judge, the government, they have made the decision that they are going to put him behind bars. So let him continue doing what he's doing so that the world will hear his word. There is something they said that, how did they say it? But let me stop there. Let me tell you that what he's doing is good. They are not going to, they want to jail him. So let them go ahead. So, but even if he brings 100 witnesses, even if we bring British to come, they have decided to jail him. So, and the judge is doing what he was asked to do. So, we are waiting. I'm watching the judgment. Let them give the judgment and sentence, and let's see what happens. Then, on the issue of what the Nigerian government are saying, that the statement of Donald Trump escalated the situation, is the truth. Because we have not had it this bad. The security forces are telling the situation. We are celebrating that insecurity is beginning to subside in this country. Then along the line, Donald Trump came from nowhere and started claiming that Christians are being killed, genocide, this and that is going to send military till today. Donald Trump have not sent anything. And to make the matter worse, I heard, not authenticated, that there was, I think, voting that only, the United States have 100 senators and only 22 voted that America should go war in Nigeria. 22 out of 100. That's a minority. So this shows that Donald Trump is not a serious human being. Look at what it has caused in Nigeria. His word amplified. Tony said that his word is not anywhere amplified insecurity in Nigeria. But Nnamdi Kanu is being tried because of what he said in outside this country, what he said in UK. So what is the difference between the trial they are trying Nnamdi Kanu today and what Donald Trump said that amplified the insecurity we are currently witnessing in this country? So as far as I'm concerned, Donald Trump should be blamed for the current insecurity because we are not having it like this before. Okay. We are celebrating that food is beginning to come down, inflation is beginning to come down, the security is beginning to be stabilized, and all of the sudden Donald Trump starts saying that all this, and we are waiting him to bring his soldier to defend Christians.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Moreover, I think the U.S. House of Arrest Committee on Africa is going to sit today on this very matter.
Definitely, they are going to sit today.
Okay. Hello. Good morning. Okay, try again. 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Your name?
This is Sunday calling from Ekulobia.
Sunday from Ekulobia. Go on.
Yes. I don't know what is holding Nigerian president and the Senate to stick together and make sure they sort out this state police. No matter how good employed, if you don't have local police, we think quick. Not this vigilance, this thing you give compassion with the other 10 gods. We need to have state police for now. No matter how equipment they have, if you don't have state police, if police will not go on grassroots, all sophisticated weapons, you can't get this thing. One command can't solve this problem. One army general, one district at Abuja. Everybody is going there to get reports. Who to send or who not to send. We are this police, the local government, they are running around to Abuja. They have come out, please send their soldier here. They have come out there, please send police here. And they know where they are, but they don't have the supply response to go there. And we are still waiting. The only solution to this is state police. Make sure every state have their own police with the sophisticated weapons like this guy, where the governor can have power to command them, not waiting for ourselves. Even at local government. So please, to me, if they fail to do so, I want Trump to come. Yes, let Trump come and establish their military base here and make sure they take all these boys out. Nigeria cannot do the needful. People have saying this thing for long. Great state police, because I know someone like me know that it will stop 80% of this insecurity. State police, equip them. Yes, you can't tell me.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your submission. Let's take one other call before we go to our social media platform. Yeah, hello, good morning.
Hello, listen, baby, good morning to you.
You're welcome. It's good to have you.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what people are voting for on the conviction of Nnamdi Kanu, because I know that that is what they are trying to do. Is it not the same choice that are singing on your mandate will stand? Are trying Nnamdi Kanu. What do you expect? The same judges. Oh God. What kind of country are we living inside? These people, they just lost their pride as a judge. People that they normally call Lord in the court are thinking in your mandate will stand. Ordinary president that you can sack with the office tomorrow. What are we living inside? Yeah? You are thinking on your mind, now you are trying to shift it. It is their system that is thinking it. They should, anyway, they can deceive people that they can, but not like me. You cannot be thinking and you are telling me that it's not you are thinking. Honestly, it's a shame. This is the same people that is making our opposition to be like I say, garbage. Labour Party here and there, they will put it up and down. PDP go to court, they will do it. And honestly, what kind of people do we call our church in this country? These are the people where you said is the hope of a common man in their hands. It cannot be. If I cannot put my church in my hands, let it be like that. Thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Merake. So let's go to our Facebook page. Henry Elu from Showlight says Governor Bala Mohammed and Sheikh Makinde are courageous men exemplified. There are limits to what human beings can condone. Wike should know that the end to his hooliganism and rascality is here. My only regret was that the duo of Sheikh Makinde and Bala Mohammed should have long taken this action. Nonetheless, the emperor has been defeated. May justice prevail on Maz Nanikanu's case today. Dr. Mrs. Molebera from Owerri State says, are we really practicing democracy in this country? Majority of Nigerians have lost faith in the survival of democracy in Nigeria because the expected benefits are a mirage. Why can't we keep faith with the democracy we fought hard for? Since the people are at the center and circumference of democracy, denying the dividends of democracy amounts to catastrophe. A country can hardly get it right if politics and party leaning become the standard for driving a nation to success. Mbechiobi says our president has all it takes to fight insecurities in our country. Onyeka Paul says he posted from Onitsha, may God help and send his Moses in this Nigeria so that we can sing the freedom song once again. And he added amen to his prayer. Ichie Billion says Tinubu was doing well in curtailing security in Nigeria. Southeast is stabilized. The North is stabilizing until Donald Trump claimed genocide against Christians in Nigeria. Things escalated. Donald Trump should be held accountable if the Nigerian security collapses. And if I may ask, where is Amotekun? And Master B SJP says, I'm ashamed when other neighboring countries are making mockery of Nigerian government. Nigeria has a lot of vibrant youth to proceed abroad for technology training like drone and trafficking system, or okay, that should be tracking system I guess, to reduce insecurity. And he said Nigeria is bleeding seriously. He posted from Onitsha. And at this point in time, I think we have to be wrapping up because we have to manage our time. There's something I wanted us to squeeze in. It's about the enforcement of the ban or the prohibition on crossing the expressway in Oka without using the pedestrian bridge. I saw the notice on, that should be on Tuesday I think, but guess what, by Monday Ocha Brigade was already at that very place trying to do the enforcement. I got that very hint that might happen. That was last week, I think last week Wednesday, when I saw Ocha Brigade with Aizan Wosu, going around the town making an announcement asking those trading on that pedestrian bridge for them to leave that very area. In fact, that very day they cleared people trading by the roadside on that Unity temporary side, the road that leads to Obono and Co. And then on Tuesday, that statement came out saying that anybody caught crossing the express road in Oka, especially at Unity Junction where they have pedestrian bridge, if you are caught, you pay 20,000 naira fine. And yesterday, 6 persons were arrested. But guess what? Later in the evening, there was a fracas between Ocha Brigade operatives and some transport operators because one man attempted to cross the road without using the pedestrian bridge, and the operatives went after him. In the process, the man fell into a drainage and got injured, and the Ocha Brigade operatives bundled him. In the process, the transport operators were angered and they got themselves engaged in a free-for fight. But where the issue is that people are saying government didn't allow enough time for awareness creation before the enforcement started. In that very case, is government concerned about how much the operators are going to make from defaulters, or government is more interested in ensuring that the lives of people are protected from danger?
I think for me, because we know why the pedestrian bridge is there. It's actually used for such crossing, and if you have it, there will be no need for grand crossing. That's why taxpayers' money was used to create or to build such bridge. But when it comes to enforcement, there will be also need for time, and at the same time there should be some road signs that tells everyone that comes close to that is not allowed. So I had also asked the Ultra Brigade to mount some signs. It's not about trying to catch a defaulter. It's better you never have a defaulter, but rather have such directive being obeyed. It's for security purpose, it's for traffic purpose. If such crossing definitely is not really good for such a place where the speed is usually high, but there should be sign, bills or signposts that tells everyone that comes into Anambra State, because there are people that even if you give awareness, the awareness will be for those who are in the town. What about those who are coming into the town from outside states?
Somebody said that the best thing to do if you are going to manage your resources very well is to just build a barricade along the road. Just around that gutter area, just build a barricade, and you don't need to deploy anybody to go after anybody, because nobody will have access to cross.
That's one of the measures. It will get a long way. I think the Awka Capital Development Authority should look into having a barricade that would also make anybody, or make it difficult for anybody to make such crossing. But we know very well that the pedestrian bridge should be used, and it's for security. It's for our own security. It's for our own safety. But we know that most time approach might not really be right. That's why we are calling for maybe barricade and also signpost in the absence of the barricade now, so that people would also know that you can't cross. That's my thought.
Okay, and also to appeal to the government, now that you're talking about safety of life, let them go to Regina Junction and do a pedestrian bridge there, because if you see what people pass through there just to cross the road, you have some concerns about their safety. So on that very note, thank you, Tony Lisambeki, and thank you every one of you that listened. Tomorrow is another day, and what we're asking is for you to do the right thing, because we can't keep on blaming leaders all the time. If we do our own bit, of course, we should expect the leaders to also do their own bit. My name is Franklin Ebuka. Good morning. Thank you for listening.
All the time, and you'll be sure to have the whole world